Hare Krishna, we are waiting for Maharaj to join. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We're waiting for Maharaj to join. I sent an email and message. I haven't heard back yet. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. Madhupati Prabhu, what do you want to do? I don't have Maharaj's number. I sent email, message on Facebook for more response.
Did you get confirmation from him a week back or something?
Yes. He said okay. Yeah.
Okay. Or call him on WhatsApp.
There is WhatsApp number. I have email only and Facebook message. Maharaj was responding by email, so I didn't take the number. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Do you know where he is?
I don't know, Prabhu. Didn't ask.
Chennai, probably.
Yeah, probably Chennai only right now. Bloody 10.
Okay. You can start speaking.
Let's see. Somebody join. We want to go ahead and start.
Yeah, you can speak. Good. With the eye on, if Maharaj joins at any time, be aware of it.
Okay. Krishna. Okay. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Hari Om Tat Sat. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9. What is, I think, Prahlad Maharaj's prayers. Prahlad pacifies Lord Narasimha with prayers. Verse number 1 to 6 or so. We'll try to cover. Sri Narada Vacha Evam Suradaya Sarve Brahma Rudra Purassara Naupaitam Asakan Manyo Samrambam Durasatam. Sri Narada Vacha Evam Suradaya Sarve Brahma Rudra Purassara Naupaitam Asakan Manyo Samrambam Sudurasatam. Maharaj comes, please let me know, because I am not able to see who is joining. Word to word. Sri Narada Vacha, the great saintly sage Narada Muni said, Evam thus, Sura Adaya, the group of demigods, Sarve all, Brahma Rudra Purassara, represented by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, no, not Upaitum, to go before the Lord, Asakan, able, Manu Samrambham, in a completely angry mood, Sudurasadam, very difficult to approach, Lord Narasimhadev. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Vijaya. The great saint Narada Muni continued, the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other great demigods dared not come forward before the Lord, who at that time was extremely angry. Please repeat. The great saint Narada Muni continued, the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other great demigods dared not come forward before the Lord, who at that time was extremely angry. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Narottam Das Thakur has sung in his Prema Bhakti Chandrika, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane, anger should be used to punish a demon who is envious of devotees. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya, lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and envy, all have their proper use for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotee. A devotee of the Lord cannot tolerate blasphemy of a Lord or his other devotees, and the Lord also cannot tolerate blasphemy of a devotee. Thus, Lord Narasimhadev is so very angry that the great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and even the goddess of fortune, who is the Lord's constant companion, could not pacify him, even after offering prayers of glorification and praise. No one was able to pacify the Lord in his anger. But because the Lord was willing to exhibit his affection for Prahlad Maharaj, all the demigods and others present before the Lord pushed Prahlad Maharaj forward to pacify him. Verse number 2. Saksha Sri Preshita Devair Društva Tam Mahat Adbhutam Adrusta Sruta Purvatvat Sa Upeyaya Sankita. Sakshat, directly, Sri, the goddess of fortune, Preshita, being requested to go forward before the Lord. Devai, by all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Društva, after seeing Tam, him, Lord Narasimhadev. Mahat, very big. Adbhutam, wonderful. Adrusta, never seen. Asruta, never heard of. Purvatvat, due to being previously saw the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. No, not Upeya. went before the Lord, Sankita, being very much afraid. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmiji, was requested to go before the Lord by all the demigods present, who, because of fear, could not do so. But even she had never seen such a wonderful and extraordinary form of the Lord, and thus she could not approach him. Purport. The Lord has unlimited forms and bodily features. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. These are all situated in Vaikuntha. At Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, being inspired by Leela Shakti, note that important point, Leela Shakti, could not appreciate this unprecedented form of the Lord. In this regard, Madhvacharya recites the following verses from the Brahmanda Prana. Adrushta asruta purvatvad anyai sadharanair janai nrsimham sankiteva srir loko mohayano yeyo prahrade chaiva vatsalya darsanaya harerapi gnatva manastata brahma praradam preshayat tada ekatra aikasya vatsalyam visheshat darshayed harihi avarasyapi mohaya Kramenaivapi vatsalaha. In other words, for a common man, the form of the Lord as Narasimhadev is certainly unseen and wonderful. But for a devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, such a fearsome form of the Lord is not at all extraordinary. By the grace of the Lord, a devotee can very easily understand how the Lord can appear in any form he likes. Therefore, the devotee is never afraid of such a form because of special favor bestowed upon Prahlad Maharaj. He remained silent and unafraid, even though all the demigods, including even Lakshmi Devi, were afraid of Lord Narasimhadev. Narayana Parasar Vera Kudaschana Vibhasarga Parga Dware Tulyartha Darsana. Prabhupada is quoting Bhagavatam 6:17-28. Not only is a pure devotee of Narayana like Prahlad Maharaj unafraid of any dangerous condition of material life, but also if the Lord appears in order to mitigate the fear of a devotee, the devotee maintains his status of fearlessness in all circumstances. Verse number 3. Prahradam preshayamasa brahma avasthitam antike tata prasamayo upehi swapitre kupidam prabhum. Very nice verse, first line itself. Prahlad Maharaj, preshayamasa, requested Brahma, Lord Brahma, avasthitam, being situated, antike, very near, tata, my dear son, prasamaya, just try to appease, upehi, go near, swapitre, because of your father's demoniac activities, kupitam, greatly angered, prabhum, the Lord. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. Thereafter, Lord Brahma requested Prahlad Maharaj, who was standing very near him, my dear son, Lord Narasimhadev is extremely angry at your demoniac father. Please go forward and appease the Lord. 794. Tateti sanakai rajan maha bhagavato arbaka upetya bhuvikayena nanama vidrutanjali. Tata, so be it. Iti, thus, accepting the words of Lord Brahma. Sanakai, very slowly. Rajan, O King Yudhishthira. Maha Bhagavata, O great exalted devotee Prahlad Maharaj, Arbakaha, although only a small boy, Upetya, gradually going near, Bhuvi, on the ground, Kayena, by his body, Nanama, about respectful obeisances, Vidrutanjali, holding his hands. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. Narada Muni continued, O king, although the exalted devotee Prahlad Maharaj was only a little boy, he accepted Lord Brahma's words. He gradually proceeded toward Lord Narasimhadev and fell down to offer his respectful obeisances with folded hands. Verse number 5. Swapadamule patitam tab arbakam vilokya deva krupaya pariplutah uttapya tachurshni adadat karam bhujam kalahi vitrastadhyam kruta bhayam. Swapadamule, at his lotus feet, patitam, fallen, tam, him, Prahlad Maharaj, Arbakam, only a little boy, Vilokya, seeing Deva, Lord Narasimhadev, Krupaya, out of his causeless mercy, Pariplutaha, very much afflicted in ecstasy, Uttapya, rising, Tat Sirsni, on his head, Adadat, placed, Karam Bhujam, his lotus hand, Kalahi, of the deadly snake of time, which can cause immediate death, Vitrasta, afraid, Diyam, to all those whose minds Krita Abhayam, which caused fearlessness. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. When Lord Nrsimhadev saw the small boy Prahlad Maharaj prostrated at the soles of his lotus feet, he became most ecstatic in affection towards his devotee. Raising Prahlad, the Lord placed his lotus hand upon the boy's head because his hand is always ready to create fearlessness in all of his devotees. Purport by Sri Prabhupada. The necessity of the material world for ahara, nidra, bhayamaitam, eating, sleeping, depending on mating. In this material world, everyone is in fearful consciousness. Sada samadvignadiyam asadgrahat. And the only means to make everyone fearless is Krishna consciousness. When Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, all the devotees became fearless. The devotees' hope of becoming fearless is to chant the holy name of the Lord. Nrsimhadeva, yato yato yami tato nrsimha. Wherever we go, we must always think of Lord Nrsimhadev. Thus, there will be no fear for the devotee of the Lord. Verse number 6. Sa tat karasparsya duta akira subha sapadi abhivyakta puratma darshanaha tatpada padmam hrudi nirvruto dadao Rusya tanuklin hrudi asrulochana. Sa he Prahlad Maharaj tatkara sparsya, because of being touched on the head by the lotus hand of Nrsimhadev, duta being cleansed, akila asubha inauspiciousness or material desires, sapadi immediately, abhivyakta manifested, par atma darshanaha realization of the supreme soul, spiritual knowledge, tat pada padmam Lord Nrsimhadev's lotus feet, Hridi within the core of the heart, nirvrataha full of transcendental bliss, dadau captured, hrasyat tanu having transcendental ecstatic bliss manifested in the body, klinna hrit whose heart was softened due to transcendental ecstasy, asru lochana with tears in his eyes. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. By the touch of Lord Nrsimhadev's hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contamination and desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore, he at once became transcendentally situated, and all the symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body, his heart filled with love, and his eyes with tears. Thus, he was able to completely capture the lotus feet of the Lord within the core of his heart. Purport by Sri Prabhupada. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.26, three modes of materialism chapter. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitte tan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotion, or who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 9.32, the Lord says, Mami partha vipasritya repi shriyo papayona siyo vaisya tada sudra tattepi anti parangatim. Osanatruta, those who will take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaisyas, as well as Sudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. On the strength of these verses from Bhagavad Gita, it is evident that although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demoniac family and although virtually demoniac blood flowed within his body, he was cleansed of all material bodily contamination because of his exalted position as a devotee. In other words, such impediments on the spiritual path could not stop him from progressing, for he was directly in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are physically and mentally contaminated by atheism cannot be situated in transcendental platform, but as soon as one is freed from material contamination, he is immediately fit to be situated in devotion service. I think, yeah. So we'll try to see what here Lord is mentioning here. Om Jnanatam Grandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langete Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinataran Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Isram Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sandhu Payevacha Vajjanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। ओम विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नाम नमस्ते सारस्वत देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणी विशेष शून्यवाद पक्षात सदेस्तारण प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। Thank you all for joining. So here, Lord Nrsimhadev appeared in very angry mood. As a context, we can see various desires of the Lord and his devotees for the Lord to appear in this particular incident. The context of Canto 7 is bringing the signs of God in the title, but it is bringing actually auspicious and inauspicious desires. That is the actual context, because it's Canto 6 is talking about Poshana, protection. The Lord protected Ajamil and Vrtrasura and others. So there, then he heard, Parikshit Maharaj heard from Sukadeva Goswami, how come Lord is killing, Lord is seemingly favorable to demigods, demons. He is favorable to demigods and enemies of demons. It seems to be partial. Can you explain? I'm confused. I'm perplexed. I'm not able to understand. That was the context of question by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadeva Goswami in the beginning of Canto 7, which is called Utaya, Canto 7. Again, explained by Sridhar Swami and other great acharyas in our parampara. So Vishwanath Chakravarti and others. Bhutischa karma vasanam praktam tat karma anusarina. Because of the desire and the Mahat Kopa, by offense to a great devotees. So Jay Vijaya, being approached by these 4 Kumaras, came to the door at the Vaikuntha. Then they stopped. Jay Vijaya obstructed 4 Kumaras in entering. This is the Mahat Kopa. They became angry. You are not supposed to be in this position because you are not qualified. You are obstructing a living entity, a practitioner, to perform his bhakti, trying to approach the Lord. Rather, you are supposed to help in advancement of the devotee. Rather, you are obstructing someone to come close to the Supreme Lord. So you are not qualified to be in this position. They cursed him. But the previous to that, there was a desire of Lakshmi Devi, thinking how Lord will fight when he was massaging. Before that also, Jaya Vijaya was thinking, so Lord is doing so many pastimes and activities. How is going to, when he wants to wrestle, when he wants to fight, whom he will fight with? Unless, how he will fight? As the desire, as the conversing and desire is there, and Lord is seeing that desire. And then at the same time also, Lakshmi Devi is also thinking, while massaging, the Lord is making sounds, is perfectly exhibiting, just like naturally is feeling over. It's when he's pressing, then if you are making these sounds while pressing, your feet and everything is so soft. How you fight with demons? I heard you fought with demons. How you'll fight? I want to see. Lord Nrsimhadev said, Lord Mahavishnu, Lord Nrsimhadev said, here in the second verse, we see that Professor Prabhupada is quoting Madhvacharya and mentioning how Lakshmi Devi herself is covered by Yogamaya. So, because otherwise, why the question should arise? Lakshmi Devi is with Lord Nrsimhadev. She is always seeing, she is constantly serving, she is representing Pada Sevanam. How come that she is not able to go? How come she is saying Adrushta Adbhuta Rupam? Satyam Vidatam Najagutya Vasanam Raptincha Bhutesha Aklesha Atma Adi Adrusya Adi Adbhuta Rupam Udvahan Sambe Samayam Namugam Namanusha. I never seen. In the second or third verse also we see Adrushta Asrauta. I never heard, never seen this form. That's what. The reason being the Yogamaya potency or Leela Shakti covered her. Otherwise, how Lord will be glorified, especially because of his Vatsa Vatsalyada of Prahlad Maharaj. How Prahlad Maharaj pastime will happen? How he will go in the front and exhibit his natural humility of putting obeys and Anami Vidrutanjali, showing how much Whenever that instruction is, whenever we offer obeisance, it must be done with feelingly. Any service for that matter, but especially when we are offering obeisance, one of the instruction in Manma Ava Mad Bhakto Madhyajimam Namastu Mami Vaisya Satyante Pritijane Priyosam or Mami Vaisya Atmanam Mat Prayanam. The same verse repeated twice, where one of them is offering obeisances. Out of 4 instructions, Lord Krishna is giving most important instructions, offering obeisance. It must be done with very feelingly. So that's how we can see Prahlad Maharaj is offering so much intense affection and emotions willingly. But at the same time, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, nobody can satisfy seeing that angry mood. Nobody could appease. And the verse mentioned that Brahmayam Preshaya Masa Tad Avastitam Antike. It mentioned Prahlad Maharaj, Brahma is next to Prahlad Maharaj. Brahma is thinking, who is the culprit? Who has given these wounds? I am the one who has given. Who will protect me? Lord is very angry. Who will be the first to get that angriness? To me only. So Lord will punish me. So who will protect me? If at all, if a devotee has to be protected, that will be again another devotee. Like we see in the Dvivida story, when Lord Krishna releases his Sudarshan Chakra in Kanda Prasth, then he is running behind it. Then he went and approached and surrendered to Arjuna. Then Arjuna said, I am giving that abhayam. So he told Sudarshan, stop. Then it has to stop. Sudarshan stopped. Then he asked, okay, give me, what can I give you? Ask me something. And Arjuna said, I don't want anything. So see, he didn't even ask the Lord. Lord is right there, but he asked Arjuna because of his devotee, he protected. So Lord Krishna has no choice but to protect. So that's when we follow this mention in Aesop, the nectar of instruction. Tad anugami jananugami. Kalam nayed. I forget the whole verse. This is, I think, 8th verse, Parivar Sutra of nectar of instruction. So one must follow the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and Parampara Guru, Srila Prabhupada and previous acharyas. So that's the Prahlad Maharaj is following that. That's why he's not fearful at all. Narayana Parasarve Kotastana Vibhata Sarga Apavarga Dwara Tulyartha Darsana. Another reflection, if you look at another way, if mother or father, mostly mother, very intimate, so in our lives. So when mother is chastising a baby, what she'll do? She'll give a slap maybe. Sometimes when we are too naughty, too mischievous, at least I have gone through that. I'm sure some of you gone through that. So then, what does it mean? What she will do after that? After doing that, she will be morose. She will be reflecting, oh, why did I hit my child? Then she will take the child with her, and then she will also nicely make nice arrangements and nicely feed, and somehow or other solace that boy, because so much love and affection is there. So because of that, so that instruction is for us. If you want to be Krishnadas, right now we are not. We are now in Mayadas. If you want to be a Krishnadas, this is the highest exalted position of Prahlad Maharaj. If you want to be Krishnadas, we have to move from Mayadas to Krishnadas. We have to follow Guru and Prabhupada and Parampara with utmost seriousness of his instruction, what he is giving, trying to follow. Whether we will be able to follow, how much we will follow, that is secondary. Primary is whether we are trying sincerely or not, endeavor is there or not. Then the result is up to Guru and Prabhupada and Parampara and Supreme Lord. So that instruction is to transfer our energy and use our energy in this Lord. So that giving Lord Krishna sometimes give difficulties. We shouldn't run away. Rather, we should be ready to accept it as Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. As mother may chastise, mother may give a slap. Does that mean mother will not like you? Mother doesn't like you? No. Mother likes more than what you like. In today's culture, we have seen 20, 30, 40 years as we go, then we don't have that so much love and emotion towards the mother. Sometimes we speak so harshly, or sometimes we neglect the mother. Sometimes we don't serve her properly, even though she has given so much to us. So this is the interest. So that's why we have to understand from that point that how much mother is feeling. So Supreme Lord, Supreme Father and Guru and Srila Prabhupada. That's why Srila Prabhupada, even though I have seen many incidents of devotees falling down or leaving or doing different things. So Prabhupada was very compassionate because he's the loving father. He's exhibiting Supreme Lord's position because that is a natural quality. That's why Vasudeva was seeing Narada Muni, he served Narada Muni and he is explaining to Narada Muni in 11th canto, not explaining, basically his gratitude. In gratitude is mentioning. So that demigods may give just as you perform karma, exactly what you do, and then accordingly they reciprocate happiness, distress. Not more than that. They cannot give you more than that. Chayeva karma suchiva sadhavo dina vatsala. Dina vatsala is very compassionate. So you are most compassionate. Narada Muni, and then we look at the verse, the same verse Prabhupada is quoting. First is quoting Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya is mentioning this sages. The sages he is talking about those who are in karma mishra bhakti, jnana mishra bhakti. Mishra bhakti, they are lower than demigods. That way he is mentioning. But next, Jiva Goswami's commentary is giving. 1 minute. Sorry, Maharaj joined. Oh, Maharaj joined. Sorry. Maharaj, please speak. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry about the time. It's all mixed up. I had 6:30 on my thing and I went out someplace. And so it's a little bit strange. Anyway, I guess I could still speak for half an hour.
Please accept my respectful obeisance, Maharaj. Thank you so much. It is a great fortune to have your association and hear from you. You can begin.
Start?
Yes.
Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasadu Delation Mati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Pracharane Shitarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes, I'm sorry that I messed up the time here. But anyway, so you want me to speak on Nrsimha Day? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So, unlike some religions, first we accept, of course, one Supreme Lord. So the major religions of the world also accept one Supreme Lord, like Islam, Christianity, Judaism. But we also are unique because we say God has a form, and this is a little puzzling for many people. Not accepted by Christians, Muslims, and Jewish people. They don't accept that. But we say God has one, but he has a form. But then we go further than that, and we also say God could have many forms. He's one God, but he can have many forms. So he's not many persons, he's one person. So there is a little bit of a confusion, even in India, I suppose, but in the West especially, they say, well, the Hindus worship many gods, like Vishnu and Nrsimha, etc., like that. Of course, they also gave it as etc. that people worship, but not many people in the West know that the Vaishnavas in India are monotheistic. They only worship one god. And even in India, people are a little confused. So they say, okay, we worship many gods like Shiva, Ganesh, Kartikeya, etc., Indra, and they put everybody together, the Devatas and the Supreme Lord in one group, and they say, okay, we have many gods. This is also wrong. So there's misconceptions in India and in the Western world about the nature of the conclusion of the Vedas. So one God, definitely. But that God can have form, which is a little bit unusual for others in other religions. Plus, many forms, which is even more unusual. But he's still one person, one God. So we have these many forms, and they are described in many places, including the Bhagavat. In the first canto and the second canto, the lists are given. And then from the third canto onwards, we have a description of these, a little more description of these different avatars that appear throughout the day of Brahma. So in this way, we have, and of course, not only we have one God coming in many forms, but he also comes with different functions. So we have Lila avatars, Guna avatars, Manvantar avatars, and we have Yuga avatars. We have different functions for the and Purusha avatars. So we have different functions also for the forms of one God. So this makes it a little more confusing for people from the outside also. But it is also natural that God, according to different functions, will take different forms to fulfill those particular purposes. And as well as that, not only does God have many forms, but God has many unusual forms, very surprising forms from the point of view of other religions also. So normally, okay, we'll think of human form. But here we have Rama and Krishna human-like, but certainly different colors. So Rama is green, not the normal human color. And Krishna is bluish-black, which is also not the normal color. And of course, we have Balaram, who is white, etc. Or we have Yagya, who is red, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is golden. So we get human forms who are different colors, which is also a little unique. But then more than that, we also get different forms. So we get the boar form, Rahade. We have the fish form, and the turtle form, and the bird form, Hamsa, and the snake form, Ananta, Shesha, or the horse form, Ayagriva. So we get a variety of animal forms also, which is even more shocking for other religions to find out that God could be an animal of all sorts, all sorts of animals. And then of course we have Shrimadev, who is part animal and part human being. Well, of course he's God, but with a human-like form. So we call him Nara Simha. Nara meaning man, and Simha for lion. So he's half-half. So this is even more unusual. He's not an animal. He's not a human form. He's half-half. So of course there's a reason for that, but this shows the power of the Supreme Lord, because he has supreme power by his will. He can be one person and manifest many forms. And he can also manifest many forms which are extremely different or unusual or even unheard of from our point of view. So such is the case of Narasimha. In the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, the Swami enumerates the different forms of the Lord, in terms of Leela avatars, etc. And then he also classifies the different forms of the Lord according to the amounts of powers and qualities they show. Because it's obvious that some of the forms show more qualities and powers and some less. And of course, the one who shows the most qualities and powers is Krishna. So we put him on the top. And this is the whole essence of the Bhagavatam. In the first list given in the canto, in the first canto, we have Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swaya. Krishna is God himself. So he's distinguished from all the other forms like Nrsimha and Rama and Varaha and Vamana, etc. So, and of course, Krishna is number one. And then, of course, the nectar devotion would say, well, Krishna has 64, and Vishnu has 60, and that Shiva has 55, and other jivas can have up to 50, but that's small quantities. But when we come to the Krishna with 4 extra qualities, and then we drop down to Vishnu with 60 qualities. But then we have, of course, all these avatar forms, and they will manifest different amounts of qualities there until we get up to Krishna. So at the bottom, we'll have those who appear for short periods of time and carry out limited functions, like the Yuga avatars who propagate Dharma in the Yuga. Or we have Kapila who teaches, or Dattatreya who teaches, or Mohini avatar who steals the nectar from the demons and gives it to David. So they show a limited amount of powers. Then we have those that show a little more powers, and those that show a little more powers, and those that show most powers, and then Krishna on the top. So of course we have ones like forms like Varaha, who shows quite a lot of powers, or Vamana, quite a lot of powers, because Varaha lifts up the whole Bhumandala out of the Bhagavat ocean. So that's a great feat in itself. And then we have Vamana, who steps over the whole universe, breaks a hole in the universe. So these are quite astonishing feats. So they show more powers. But then at the top, we have what are called the Purna forms. So Rupa Goswami mentions 3: Nrsimhadev, Rama, and Krishna. So in other words, they show more powers and qualities than all the other forms. Even though they're one God, but in those particular forms, they manifest particular qualities. Yeah. This may be a little bit astonishing for people to understand how can God be one that has so many forms. As we say, because he can manifest Shakti, such forms. And in these forms, he'll show particular amounts of qualities. So the example is given, it's like the moon. The moon is one, we only have one moon. But at the same time, that moon is changing all the time. So we have the full moon, that's 100% light, and it's completely round. But we wait a few days, the moon starts getting a little small. Wait a few more days, it gets a little more small. After 15 days, the whole thing disappears, and we get a Amavasya, a new moon. So the one moon has different phases in which there's different amounts of light. Similarly, one Supreme Lord manifests different amounts of qualities, and therefore we can classify them in different stages. So we can put the full forms of the last 3 stages. We could say it's the Trayodasi, and then the Chaturdasi, and then the Purnima. So Krishna is like the Purnima, and then Rama is like the Chaturdasi, and Nrsimhadev is like the Trayodasi. So this is the waxing phase, of course. So more qualities, more qualities, more qualities. The point is that God can manifest in different forms, so manifest different qualities, but in these particular forms, then he manifests more qualities than the others. So Nrsimhadev gets placed quite significantly near the top. And we see that these forms, Krishna, for instance, is very popular, and he's the subject of so much glorification and description in the different literature, poetry, dramas, etc., and epics like Mahabharata. And then, of course, we have Ramchandra, also very popular. And then we have a whole epic, the Ramayana, which glorifies Ramchandra. So definitely, they do have very attractive, and they have great followers, and there's many works written glorifying them. But then third in line, we have Nrsimhadev, who is also put in this top category, even though we don't have so many major works written about him. He's considered to be very, very powerful. And so he's put in this top 3 Purna avatar category. So he is, Nrsimhadev is unique, as I said, because he has half lion, half man features. And of course, this is has to do partly with the pastime. Brahma gave a benediction that he won't be killed by a human or by anybody else, an animal or whatever, or a devata or a ghost or whatever, in the hopes that nobody would kill him. So the Lord nicely got around that benediction of Brahma by becoming half-half, not man, not animal, half-half. And in that way, he solved that dilemma of taking the form in which he could kill Hiranyakasipu. So that's one of the reasons why he took that form. So Nrsimhadev was a very, very powerful form. And we see that in the description of Bhagavatam, when he's fighting with Hiranyakasipu and then all of his thousands of soldiers, we see how his powers manifest. Now, these powers are related to fighting, which is one aspect of the Supreme Court. And we see even Ramchandra displays a lot of that. So this is what we call Virya Rasa, the thrill of combat, fighting. And a lot of this takes place with the demons. So it's a secondary rasa, but it's also, even there, it's not a true rasa because the true rasas are in relation to devotees, not demons. So anyway, it's a secondary rasa in that sense. But the Lord sometimes desires to intensely fight, and therefore sometimes he takes a form in which he can fight a demon in a very remarkable way. So he chose to take this form to fight with Hiranyakasipu, who was a very powerful demon. So in this way, he manifested this wonderful form. So that's part of the pastime where he displays great powers in cleverness, etc., fighting with Hiranyakasipu. And of course, he is often worshipped for that reason. He's a destroyer of the demons or destroyer of the obstacles of bhakti. So he becomes very popular with the devotees for that reason. And often devotees, when they're in difficult situations, they'll pray to Nrsimhadev to get rid of the demonic forces around them. So Hiranyakasipu was very powerful, and Hiranyakasipu very skillfully annihilated. So that's one aspect of his nature. But we also see he has another nature also. And so he's not unbalanced. So when, of course, after he killed Hiranyakasipu, he was so angry at Hiranyakasipu because of the harassment of Prahlad, and he was so attracted to Prahlad that anger could not be controlled. And everyone was frightened by that anger that would not go away. So the devatas were afraid to approach him. Lakshmi was afraid to approach Nrsimhadev because of his great anger. So then they thought, okay, let us put Prahlad forward. Push Prahlad forward. And when Nrsimhadev saw Prahlad, then suddenly Nrsimhadev became very happy, very pleased. So this shows that his affection for his devotee is greater than his anger at the demons. But we know that the anger was actually associated with his affection for the devotee. Why was he so angry? He was very angry because the Hiranyakasipu had harassed Prahlad so much, tried to kill him in many ways. And so therefore, Nrsimhadev was very, very angry at Hiranyakasipu, even though he was his father. But his affection also immediately overcame his anger when he saw Prahlad and how he was safe. No way harm below. So immediately, Nrsimhadev became very, very joyful at seeing Prahlad with great affection. So we have sometimes descriptions of how the lion, the mother lion, cares for the cub, the baby, with great affection. So similarly, Nrsimhadev, who had the lion, top part of the body, he was affectionate towards Prahlad in the same way. So this was the other aspect of Nrsimhadev's character. So it is interesting to note in the Nectar of Devotion, the southern section there, it discusses the different avatars for the different rasas. So for Krishna is in charge of Madhurya rasa. But who's in charge of Vatsalya rasa? And it turns out Nrsimhadev. It sounds a little strange because usually we don't think of Nrsimhadev as the mother, but he had great affection for Prahlad, like as if he were his own son. So therefore, he represents that Vatsalya in relation to Prahlad. So he's in charge of Vatsalya rasa. So in this way, Nrsimhadev, though he does have the ferocious aspect, we also see his very peaceful aspect. So when we have the murtis of Nrsimhadev, we will have these two aspects. We'll have the Ugra form, as in Mayapur, where Nrsimhadev is tearing apart Hiranyakasipu in a very ferocious mood, tearing out his intestines, etc. And then we'll have the other form where we have Nrsimhadev is smiling, he has Lakshmi on his lap, and he has Prahlad offering prayers or garland. So we have this very happy Nrsimhadev also, because he's with his devotee. So therefore, we should think of Nrsimhadev as also he's a protector of his devotee, and he's also very affectionate towards his devotees. For that reason, many devotees also worship Nrsimhadev. So, of course, the Lord is full of all rasas, but normally the other avatars, he will not manifest all the rasas completely, but Krishna will manifest all 12 rasas, 5 primary rasas, and the 7 secondary rasas in relation to his devotees. And he'll do that in a very spectacular way. And there's many examples of that in Bhagavat. The other forms of the Lord, like Rama and Narasimha and others, they will have more limited manifestations, and therefore they're classed in a lesser category. For instance, Ramchandra, yes, he has Madhurya rasa with Sita, but he doesn't have Madhurya rasa with anybody else. Whereas Krishna has Madhurya rasa with billions of gopis, 16,108 queens of Dwarka. Or Krishna has Vatsalya relation with so many of the elder gopis and gopis in Vrindavan. Or he has Sakya rasa with billions of covered boys. So on the other hand, we'll see Ramchandra, Sakya rasa, maybe with a little bit with his brothers, but that's it. Everybody else is in Dasya rasa. And he has limited Vatsalya with his parents, 2 parents. That's it. So more or less, it's all Dasya, Dasya for Ramchandra. And the same, of course, goes for Nrsimhadev. Most of the devotees who worship Nrsimhadev are also in that Dasya mood, and they're worshiping him as servants. So, of course, he does have the Madhurya rasa with Lakshmi, but he doesn't have parents because he came out of a column, so he has no mother and father. So there's no Vatsalya rasa in that sense with the parents or whatever like that. Where the parents are, the devotee is the parent. So he hasn't got any relation with that at all. So most of the devotees have in that Dasya rasa. And I don't think we have a Sakya rasa because of any brothers. So in that sense, the rasa is somewhat limited. But we see great manifestation of power in relationship with destroying Hiranyakasipu and all his demon followers, and a very intense affection for his devotee. So these are the outstanding qualities of Nrsimhadev. So Nrsimhadev appeared in the, not recently, but in another Manvantara period. We're now in Vaivasvata Manvantara period, which is halfway through the day. And it has 71 yuga cycles, and 28 yuga cycle. And Rama appeared in the 4th cycle, Vaivasvata Manvantara. But before that was the Chatusha Manvantara, which is 28 yuga cycles. The previous was the end of Chatusha Manvantara. So within that Chatusha Manvantara, period, we have Nrsimhadeva period. So that's quite a long time ago. Millions and millions and millions of years ago, he appeared. So he appears, some of the avatars appear several times, like Vamana, and Varaha appears 12 times, Vamana appears 3 times, Matsya appears 14 times, others will appear once, like Krishna and Rama. So Nrsimhadeva is also seems to have appeared only once. So he appeared once on the day of Brahma. But his pastimes are so spectacular that he becomes famous. Even now, we remember his pastimes, glorified for his protection of his devotees, protection he had for it, and ferocity and annihilating all the demons. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any question?
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Wonderful class here. I see question from Anil Kumar Prabhu. Multiple gods, my thinking is that the human body has multiple organs to support life, and each organ has specific function to support human life. Likewise, in Hinduism, we have many gods for our spiritual life, and each god connects us and leads us to Krishna consciousness. You want to elaborate or explain?
Okay, yes. So, of course, we have many forms. We have, as I said, forms of the Lord himself, that is avatar forms, like Rama and Nrsimha and Varaha, who are actually one Lord, but different forms. Then we have others who are devatas, like Indra, Varuna, who have material bodies, actually, and they are jivas like us, but they have special powers given by the Supreme Lord. And they act in this material world to control the weather, like rain, like Indra with the clouds and the rain, or Varuna with the water, etc. So they carry out particular functions on behalf of the Supreme Lord in this world, and they have greater power. So in that way, people will worship them for different material benedictions. However, we do have to recognize that they have material bodies and they are jivas like us. They're not the Supreme Lord. We have to make that distinction because the Supreme Lord ultimately is in charge. So we can, by punyas, become a devata, but we cannot become the Supreme Lord because the Supreme Lord is a different entity. It's not a jiva at all. It's completely separate. So we have to distinguish between humans, devatas, who are more advanced humans, we could say, with more powers, and then Supreme Lord, who's another category, because he's completely different from the jiva in the sense that he's got all powers eternal and never gets covered over by material energy. So that Supreme Lord can take many forms, as we explained with the other topics. So therefore, if in Hinduism, we should distinguish between the devatas and the forms of the Supreme Lord. Now, of course, even Krishna in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he said, okay, you worship the devatas and be happy in this world. So for material things, many people will worship devatas, and many scriptures are there to support that. And therefore, we can lead a comfortable material life, follow Dharma, etc. However, if we want to go further and practice spiritual life and understand we're Atma, or Jiva, separate from the body, and we're going to get out of the material world, go to the spiritual world, then we have to do something else. We cannot worship the same devatas. We have to worship that Supreme Lord. So that's where we make the distinction. If you want to stay in the material world, you can worship the devatas, and you can get your material benefits. But if you want to go beyond the material world and have eternal life with the eternal spiritual body, then you won't have to worship that Supreme Lord. You could worship Nrsimhadeva or Rama or Krishna or Varaha or Vamana or any other form, but one form you would have to worship and become dedicated to that form. By his mercy, then you can get out of this material world and go to the spiritual world. What's the benefit of that? It is permanent. Whatever you get in the material world by worshiping devatas is very, very temporary. Worship Supreme Lord, you get eternal life and bliss with the Lord. Well, that's the difference, basically. So, in Bhagavatam itself, it says that you can worship the Devatas, but the more intelligent person will simply worship the Supreme Lord. He doesn't have to worship anybody else because he is the root. That's like watering the root of a tree instead of watering the leaves. So the Devatas are like the leaves, and we can do that with worship. But a more intelligent person will worship the root of the tree, and by worshiping the root, the leaves become satisfied. So in other words, whatever worship we do to the Supreme Lord covers all the worship and respect we can give to the Devatas. So instead of worship everybody, we worship the Supreme Lord, and everybody is satisfied, and they're not offended. So that is the conclusion of Bhagavat. Of course, we do not offend the Devatas because they are also devotees of the Lord, so we give them great respect. But we spend most time giving our respect and worship to the Supreme Lord.
Thank you, Maharaj. Next, we have a question from Srinivas Prabhu. I think he has further question. Is Buddha is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu? You share your thoughts.
So, yes, in the Bhagavatam, Buddha is mentioned there as one of the forms of the Supreme Lord who manifests in Kali Yuga, actually. But Jiva Goswami also says that in Kali Yuga, the Lord is called True Yuga, which means, in general, the Lord is called True Yuga, which means he doesn't manifest in Kali Yuga. So how do we get Kali Yuga avatars? Like Kali Yuga avatar that manifests Sankirtan, and we get Buddha, and we get Kalki. But they appear in Kali Yuga, so why is the Lord called True Yuga not appearing in Kali Yuga? So therefore, explanation is in Kali Yuga, generally, the Lord comes as Shaktavash avatar. He's not Supreme Lord. He's a Jiva, special powers. So therefore, Buddha and the Yuga avatar of Kali Yuga and the Kalki would be Shaktavash avatar, not Supreme Lord himself like Vamana, Brahma, etc. Of course, we have exceptions. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an exception to that. He's not a Jiva, he is not Krishna. But otherwise, we get Shaktavash avatar. So it seems that Buddha also is a Shaktavash avatar, Jiva with special powers.
Thank you, Maharaj. Next question, Srinivas Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Good class on the Narsimha Chaturdashi or whatever it happened last week. So during the beginning of the call, it was mentioned that, and of course I know it, but I just want to reiterate this question. When Narsimha Swami appeared, why all Devadas are afraid to approach him or praying him except Prahlad Maharaj? Because Brahma is the first devotee of the Lord, and Lakshmi is his part and parcel of him actually. And then all the devotees are actually, praying him for many yugas or whatever. But in this particular situation, only Prahlad was able to approach him. What is the reason for this, Maharaj?
Yeah. So normally it would be surprising why Srimadev doesn't recognize his wife. But the thing is that he appeared for Prahlad. So he was in that complete mood of protecting Prahlad, getting angry at Srimadev because he was harassing him. So he was absorbed in that particular aspect. Of course, when he's in Vaikuntha, of course, then he's having eternal pastimes with Lakshmi, etc., and he's got an eternal relationship with her. But when he becomes absorbed in his particular pastime, then it looks like he forgets things. One would become predominant. So this is what happened when he was fighting with Ranikasipu, who was in a very angry mood, and therefore even the Brahma and Devata, Lakshmi were there. He really didn't see them or hear them because of his attachment to Prahlad and consequent anger, etc., passion for killing Ranikasipu. So because of his great attachment to Prahlad, lot. That's why you didn't recognize anybody else.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you.
Next question is from Tarani Radha Mataji from chat. That Hiranyakashipu is in the bodily concept of life, so we are up to how can we come out of that concept?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah. Of course, Hiranyakashipu was bodily concept of life, and of course, he was in a very negative form of that, where he's one of the biggest demons. So, of course, we as devotees are not with material bodies, and we still have some material perception, but at least we have faith, and we started the process of bhakti. So we're not actually in the same condition as Hiranyakashipu, who was in a very hopeless position. So his only hope was to get killed by the Lord. That was his saving grace, that he got the blessings of the Lord by being killed by the Lord. But if we are devotees, even beginning devotees, then we're much superior to that. We have favorable attitude towards the Lord, so we can always get the mercy of the Lord. We see that God got the mercy of Trinity when he was 5 years old. So any devotee striving in this material world, in spite of the obstacles, can also expect to get mercy from the Supreme Lord. So this is the best way in which we can overcome all of these material conceptions. Ultimately, the answer to all of the obstacles we face is the process of bhakti itself, which ultimately means that we have unconditional love for Supreme Lord. And this will ultimately solve all the problems that manifest within our life.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Maharaj has given class, at least I know one class he gave on Anarthas in ISKCON Hyderabad, I think a few years ago. So you can listen to that, Mataji, and many other classes Maharaj has given worldwide in different temples, so that we get more better understanding of that aspect. Any other questions anyone else has for Maharaj? Okay.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I had a quick question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, you mentioned that Lord Krishna and Lord Rama appears in one day of Lord Brahma. I heard about Lord Krishna, but even isn't Lord Ramachandra appears in multiple yugas? Like we have heard about his green form, we have heard about his red form.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but as far as Rupa Goswami is concerned, he only mentions that he appears in that the 24th cycle and Vaivasva Manvanta. He doesn't mention any other thing like that. Now, in other days of Brahma, there may be other, slightly different versions of things like that. That sometimes happen in other days of Brahma. Different things are slightly different. But I don't know, as far as this is concerned, Rupa Goswami doesn't mention anything else.
Oh, okay.
I have a question, Maharaj, about we hear a lot of associates and a lot of pastimes in the spiritual world in Vaikuntha. So, is there a description somewhere about Lord Nrsimhadev in Vaikuntha, about the associates and any pastimes or some details from Vaikuntha?
There may be some more further details, not about spiritual world, but at least more details about his pastimes in the Narasimha Purana, which is an Upa Purana, not one of the 18 major Puranas, a minor Purana, but there is a Narasimha Purana. So there may be some other stories there also. Then there are also what we call Stola Puranas. Some temples will have a particular literature glorifying their deity or whatever. So in Andhra Pradesh particularly, there are many Nrsimhadev temples. So they may have their Stola Purana. So they have some local stories in Sanskrit or whatever recorded there, which tell the stories about Nrsimhadev in relation to that temple. So we'll have those type of pastimes. As far as spiritual world, that I don't know. Perhaps the Sri Vaishnavas have written a little bit or something, but I don't know about that. Vishnu definitely have some pastimes of Vishnu, but Nrsimhadev I don't know.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Laghu Bhagavatamrita I read, Janaloka and then Vaikunta Loka. Then I read from our Sthala Puranas, from Ahobilam and Simhachalam and a few other places of Andhra Pradesh, nursing this different pastimes. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj, for your association.
Yeah, okay. Sorry I was late, made a mistake.
No
Just
problem.
got back, and I turned on the thing and I saw this thing. Oh, it's the wrong time. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo cha pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Vaishnava ki jai. Thank you. Quick announcements. Sunday feast is on. Grace Masu Ghosh Prabhu will be speaking from 5:30. Please join Sunday feast program with Tulsi Arti, Prabhupada Arti, 6 o'clock main Arti, and the class 6:30 to 7:30. Govindas is on. Like to be, you can order on govindasnj.com any items you like to. And we have upcoming festivals. The next coming Thursday is Ekadasi, Apara Ekadasi. I think June 11th, Saturday is Lord Jagannath Radhayatra in New York. We have buses available from our temple going to New York. If you'd like to reserve your seats, please book it quickly. Contact Sankar and Sharan Prabhu, who is in charge for this bus reservation. And Atlantic City on July 2nd, actual day, and Lord Jagannath Snanayatra, birthday and most auspicious and very, very auspicious day. Snanayatra, I think 14th, Tuesday. So please join us, and any services you like to perform or any thing you want to offer for Lord Jagannath in these festivals, please let us know. Contact us. I would like to sponsor or offer any items, groceries for Radhayatra, cookings or anything. So those are the quick announcements. Anything else, Madhuru?
No, wonderful festivals are coming. Even next weekend,
Memorial, yes.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have wonderful sessions planned. Hari Prasad Prabhu is coming on Friday from 7 to 9. He will speak on Krishna's Balya Leela. On Saturday, from 6 to 8, he's speaking on Japa, Kirtan, and Smaran. And on Sunday, next Sunday, Radha Shyam Prabhu is coming and to our temple. He's a temple president of Pune temple, very scholarly devotee also. And he'll be speaking on essence of Gita's 4 sutras. So please join this wonderful association of hearing from advanced devotees on Friday, Saturday, Sunday next weekend. Okay, that's about it.
Okay, thank you. We'll have today evening South Indian healthy specials. Join us for the class and then feast afterwards. Okay, Hare Krishna. We'll conclude today's session. Thank you all for joining. Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.